Welcome to the Defining Moments Black Men series of the Authentic Joe Show. I'm Jolena Johnson, your host, and it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome Mr. Larry W.
Yeah, my fault. I could have put Larry Williams. My bad. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Larry Williams. I'm like, are we trying to be anonymous or what here?
Y-
Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Blessed. Another beautiful day. Thank you. How are yourself? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So
Excellent.
thank
Excellent.
thank you for being here. Can you tell us a little about yourself, your occupation, and your background?
Wow. Yeah. Let's see here. Larry Williams. My current occupation, I guess the title is success coach, also known as family independent specialist, working for social services, welfare department, state of Michigan. And I've also, for the most part, most of my life, worked in various community service organizations. For the better part of the past 30 years, past 25 years, I've been with the state. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much the current bread and butter, the ends making the means.
Okay, well, thank you. How would you describe yourself?
Oh, wow, good question. For the most part, I would say a warrior of peace.
Mm, I love that. Okay. And
Yeah.
if you had to pick a phrase that would be the theme for your life, what would it be?
A phrase for the theme of my life. Um, a long time ago in my adolescence, I'm having a arguing with my mom, and me and her going back and forth because as a kid, of course, I'm thinking I know how things are supposed to be going and how things should be going, and I'm expressing my discontent with some things, and she's challenging me on what I know or what I would do or how do I know better, and so in the conversation of me challenging what I would do in a situation, without having a car to do something or I need to go somewhere, and the interaction became, well, I would just whatever come up, I would still try to figure out a way to make it work or a way to solve the problem. If you don't have a car, you got to walk. You got to get there. You got to get it done. And she was like, well, walk your walk then. Walk your walk.
Walk your
You know
walk.
what I mean? Walk your walk. If that's what you go, I'm gonna walk mine, you walk yours. You know what I'm saying? Like, why you all up in my mix? Why you all up in my walk? Walk your walk. And it's funny because that later became like in my counseling with people, that argument with my mom later became like an anthem for me. Like nobody's gonna walk your walk for you, and
Okay.
nobody can walk your walk for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to walk your walk. Nobody can take that test for you. Your left foot, your right foot, nobody's going to move that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to walk their own walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself in barbershops. I found myself in different settings where the personal accountability that comes with realizing, like, no matter how much somebody loves you and wants to walk your walk for you, no matter how much you love your kid and you want to walk that walk for your kid or your friend or your lover, no matter how much best you want for somebody else, you can only walk your walk. They have to walk theirs.
All right. I love it. I love it. Okay, we
So
got it.
So who know you learn some things with battling and disagreeing with your parents. Go
Hmm.
figure. It's something that sticks with you that actually is profound or meaningful.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. So, oftentimes people ask, well, what is a defining moment? So, I'll share. A defining
Hmm.
moment is a point in life when a pivotal decision must be made or when an experience fundamentally changes a person. What defining moment would you be willing to share with us today?
Good question. Because there's plenty of defining moments to choose from childhood. You know, winning a scholarship that got me to go to Missouri, where I embarked on believing I can reach heights outside of my surroundings. Coming from Detroit, going down to the University of Missouri Columbia for a journalism scholarship as an out-of-state student. Um, many defining moments in childhood, like that argument with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, if I look at adulthood, young adulting,
Mm-hmm.
that age between, like, 18 to 25, and then to adulting, um, many defining moments as, you kind of face challenges. But when I look back and I ask myself, if you can go back in time, what's the one place you would go to? There's this one moment that I would always go back to if I could. And so I guess I select the particular defining moment for me was, when I went to college. I made an incredible friendship that, turned into, fraternity brothers, turned into co-presidents and vice presidents of many leadership organizations, that turned into being college roommates, and then ultimately the, shocking, life-changing moment was, being the guy that has that story that his college roommate, his college best friend, and his frat brother was killed, um, during the school year, or during our right before our senior year, right as the end of our junior year, as we was embarking on our senior year. Um, because that's such a point in time in your life when, your perspective and your outlook, for a lot of young people, is at their highest. You're at a point where you put yourself in a position to where most of your thoughts now are your visions of your future. And, that particular moment, um, I'm always like, that kind of shifted the paradigm, I feel, from, my character, who I was, my personality, my outlook before he was killed, and then, how I looked at life and how I moved, and how I had to cope and continue moving on, um, following his death. And, I got, children, defining moments of marriages,
I understand.
divorces. You made all these moves in life that are very significant.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're just like that Bugs Bunny cartoon of, oh, I made that wrong turn at Albuquerque,
Mm-hmm.
like that was like, that was the turn. That was like, man,
Okay,
you
so
know,
let me put a little for our viewers. So Larry and I went to the University of Missouri together, Mizzou, and so his roommate and brother was killed in an auto accident. So on
right,
YouTube, we don't want to use that word too much because I think they kind of ding us. So we'll just say in the accident or something. Let's.
right.
But
He died, right? He
yeah.
died.
hmm So when that happened,
June 16th, 1990.
mhm, when that happened, um, what happened as a result in your life? What are a few things that happened as a result, a direct result of losing your friend?
Let's see. To preface, let's see. I graduated high school '87. He did as well. I came from Detroit. He came from, Oakland, California. We go to Mizzou. We have a couple of classes together. Our first semester, freshman year, where we kind of noticed each other by the second week of school, constantly passing each other. One class was an everyday class. Another class was Tuesday, Thursday. So from there, we found ourselves, participating in school activities, residence hall association events. He was a delegate for his floor. I helped and participated with him in a lot of, programs. He was also a black belt in Taekwondo. So then we started the, Taekwondo club, and we started doing like self defense, workshops and things in, the girls' dorms.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had classes, open to students, all students, during the week. And then we got elected. I was had a student, a front desk job in a dorm. And
Mm-hmm.
so then, my visibility, afforded us to be, elected as president and vice president of the Residence Hall Association. So we're now doing a lot of things visibly, and our connection is growing, just out of from friendship and classrooms to now, different platforms, and, you know executing changes and ideas and dreams that we have, like in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So then while we're in these leadership positions, um, we pledge a black organization. He was a white guy from Oakland, but his background is multicultural,
Mm-hmm.
whereas I'm from Detroit, and my background for the most part is predominantly black. I wasn't really familiar with um, any other culture. Like my high school was like 89% black, 11% Arabic. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I had like one white girl, just as far as American white, like one white girl in my graduating class.
Okay.
So that was my experience, and his class, his year's book class, looked like a Benetton commercial back in the day. It was Asian, Hispanic, white, black.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mixture. So he had more of a multicultural. So when we kind of connected, we went to all events. I went to some Hispanic parties. We went to like the RHA parties during campus events.
So what I'm hearing you say is you both help broaden each other's horizons in your friendship.
It really built and clicked to like this kind of like dynamic nexus
Mm-hmm.
that was now linked to other different connections
And you
just
were
through
best friends for 3 years.
freshman year, sophomore year, and then junior
Mm-hmm.
year. So from 87 to 88, 88, 89. So now we're in 89, 90.
Mm-hmm.
We just pledged into the one of the predominantly black organizations of the D9 Phi Beta Sigma on April 13th, 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so then we finish our school year the last week of April, first week of May, and we're getting ready to embark. We had made the grade. We're getting ready to embark on our journalism classes and looking to graduate in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we've taken some summer classes to make sure this happens. He's taking summer classes. We move into our apartment building, and it's me, him, and another frat brother. So we're splitting expenses three ways.
Mm-hmm.
And he begins with the radio broadcast in the first part of the summer. And then he was sent on assignment to go to a rally in Jefferson City. And supposedly on his return from the rally that morning, um, the story is that a drunk driver went across the median on the Highway 63, going from Columbia to Jeff City. The driver was going southbound. Sam and the other student journalist I was assigned to the event was coming northbound, and supposedly the car crossed the median, went over to the southbound lanes, and directly struck the passenger side. Um, my roommate, my best friend Sam, was the only one who died. The driver in his vehicle, he suffered multiple injuries, and then I believe the supposed alleged drunk driver suffered injuries as well, but they survived. And so following that, um, so this happened June 16th. I'll say 2 weeks from there, July 1st, the landlord came to me and my frat brother and my remaining roommate, like the rent's due. You know, sorry for your loss, but the rent's due. And so it was like I immediately really had to go into the role of almost immediately trying to deal with the moving forward with paying the bills
Mm-hmm.
and 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 we had to take care of just the practical problem solving of a 20-year-old in his first apartment with learning expenses are coming, and I was getting it from working. I was a full-time college student on a 4-year scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
$6,000 a year. Out of state at Missouri was like 8,000, so I had to work to make up that difference. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this particular time, I had kind of made some moves for myself because me and Sam, being RHA president, we made some moves to calculate to where we were doing some miracle things at 20 years old to make ends meet financially when
Right.
you have little experience on how to do that.
Right.
So you think you're really on top of it. Like now, I really like, hey, my mom, I can walk my walk. I knew what I was talking about to my mom. I'm
Yes.
doing it.
Yes.
And so, we're making it happen. And then after his passing, along with the shock of like, this is really happening,
Mm-hmm.
you have real life meeting you at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know if I can really say what happened to me then. I was really conscious because it's like
Mm-hmm.
when you're in it,
Yes.
when you're in the consequence or when you're in the reaction or when you're in the effect of things, you don't really have time to like think of the cause or the action or the choices.
Mm-hmm.
You're just dealing with like, this is the pressure, this is overwhelming, this is what we need to do. And then once you solve it for that month, like the next month expenses and now having to work more hours
Mm-hmm.
while I'm trying to go to journalism classes,
Mm-hmm.
um, to meet the requirements, to keep the GPA, to stay in the school,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then the challenges of still being in these leadership positions with these obligations to
Mm-hmm.
meet, having to put on certain events on certain dates that we're assigned, having to do things now. The shift of the reason has changed to Sam is now the definition or reason
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of my principles now of why I'm doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of shifted from my earlier perspective of just my future visions. After J school, maybe I want to go to law school, or then we can change the world, get involved in some more organizations. After we do Sigma, we'll become presidents of the Missouri Student Association. And Sam wanted to become managing editor of the student newspaper, the Man Eater.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like we just had these goals of plans of how we saw our projection, like short term and long term.
Mm-hmm.
And that just changed all of that to where it's like now I'm just putting out fires, you know.
Okay, so I want to thank you for that because I know that you really don't talk about it, and I can feel the emotion about the loss. So, in our
True.
last few moments, I heard you say that if you could go back and change a moment, you would. Of course, you would.
Hmm.
I also heard you say, "Hey, they don't care if we were supposed to split it 3 ways. We still want our money, and that's the real. That's how. Look, you got a lease, you
Hey,
got to pay it." So
real
I
life
heard
is like you going through some problems.
right.
Okay. Anyway.
Yes. I also heard you say that you expanded your knowledge, you expanded your manhood, you gained a brother and you gained experiences. Like I don't remember, I had some good friends in college, but we weren't doing stuff together like that. It was so wonderful that you guys had plans together and you had leadership plans and things like that. I think that's fantastic. So,
Yeah, it was almost like the electron and neutron, like
mhm,
creating that,
yeah.
like
So,
whereas alone or separate, it might not have went that way.
right.
So
So
it was
so
really a dynamic of our connection.
right. So before we go, um if you were talking to a young man, especially a young man today, because you do that, that's part of the nature of your work.
Correct.
What are 3 things about friendship? Just give me 3 pieces of advice or 3 bits of wisdom about friendship that you would want young people to know today, because they're the way they're growing up on electronics and without really neighborhoods and getting to know people and trust. It's a lot different than when we were growing up when we were young. So what are 3 things that you want young people, especially boys or young men, to know about friendship? Just what's number one?
All right. Well, I'll answer that question directly. That's interesting. I would say number one, um, friendship is someone you care for their well-being and they
Mm-hmm.
care for your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Like a true friend is somebody that you are like you would stop them from them doing them. Like if they about to do something, you're like, hey, that's a bad idea. Hey, let's talk about it.
Yes.
Let me be here for you. Like instead of you going out to go slash some tires or
Mm-hmm.
go stalk somebody or
Mm-hmm.
you mad at somebody, you want revenge, like, you know, somebody that is genuinely caring about your well-being, wants you to do well,
Okay, that's excellent. Number two.
and somebody that I want to do well. So that's
Yeah.
how you know if you're a friend of somebody, because it's like if you really care about, want them to do
Mhm.
well.
Yes.
Um, Number two, the important thing about friendship, I would state, is that it's important to not only see what you want or see how you want things to be,
Mm-hmm.
but see how things are.
That's great.
There's a difference between it should be like this, or this is the way it's supposed to be done,
Mm-hmm.
or this is what I expect this person to say. This
Mm-hmm.
is what I would want somebody to say in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember that that's your expectation, because what somebody is giving or how they are responding or how they are reacting, you have to take that into account from that perspective of that being them, as opposed to this didn't reach what I wanted them to say, or this didn't reach how I wanted them to react, or
Mm-hmm.
this isn't how I was trying to see them. This
Okay.
doesn't fit how I'm trying to see them. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's their number one is the well-being. You actually care about the person's well-being, and they
Mm-hmm.
care about yours.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is really see the people who they are, as well as acknowledge, your hopes,
Mm-hmm.
because you never want someone not to lose their dreams or hopes, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, and then the third thing I want to say with friendship is I've learned that this may sound kind of corny, because I don't really profess to be the most religious person,
Mm-hmm.
but keep God first.
Mm-hmm. That's
Because
not corny.
well, here's the thing, right? And I say it sounds corny in the sense of like we put a lot of emphasis on friendship.
Mm-hmm.
We put a lot of value on friendship,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, in this particular context of this being my defining moment, um, maybe I need to talk to somebody about this, but I had to process like, you know, don't put friendship first above everything.
Gotcha. That's very good.
You
That's
know what I'm
very good.
saying?
Yes.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that could lead you to losing sight of the bigger value, of the bigger
Yes.
creation, of the bigger design.
Yes.
And it took me a while to process it, because friendship was not really by choice, because I can't say I consciously was like
Mm-hmm.
trying to forsake the commandments, but like, oh, I'm putting this above the first
I
commandment,
got you. I think it's
But
clear. And for a young person, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but I am. So let's
yeah,
say this. I think a young person gets it. So what I think I hear you say is, I value my friendship, and because I lost my friendship, I could the anger, the pain, everything that I felt here could distort my relationship with God because
well, not distort your relationship with your life direction.
there you go. Okay. That's
Okay,
very good.
like
That's clear.
like I had the vision, and then when you have the loss, and if you value it so much, and the anger and the pain, and it could destroy your direction for yourself.
Yes. And so you have to be able to know who you are, where you're going,
Yeah,
and
if you
keep
keep
going.
keep God first. So when
Mhm.
the friendship dies or it interrupts, or when other things interrupt, other
Mhm.
things that can take you off your direction or your focus of your direction,
Mhm.
um, it can lead to a lot of hopelessness.
Mhm.
It can lead to, loss of imagination and creativity.
Mhm.
And you can find yourself like just being more and more open to aimlessness.
Yes. Okay.
And
So,
so that's like, some things I would say I learned from that.
okay. I want to thank you so much for sharing this. And I'm sorry that um, you had such a tragic loss. And I'm also so happy that you had such an amazing friendship and brotherhood.
It was beautiful. I treasure it. I'm thankful,
Yeah,
and I've adopted, or I've developed a stronger sense of gratitude.
very good. Thank you
No matter what,
Okay.
I'm grateful.
And
I'm grateful no matter what.
Thank you for your for your 25 years of serving children. I appreciate that. And I respect you a lot. And I thank you for doing this interview.
Thank you. The Beautiful Life mission continues.
Thank you.
Trying to make life as beautiful.